So it's now less than 24 hours before D-Day for the United States in Afghanistan. The countdown has begun for US troops to completely draw down and wrap up Mission Afghanistan. It will have to pull out all troops from Afghanistan's soil by the 31st of August. Not only will most troops make their way out of the country after 20 long years, the US is also all set to pull out all diplomatic presence from Afghanistan. The United States exit comes even as Kabul is reeling under a barrage of rocket strikes at the airport. A twin blast just 4 days ago and heavy firing reported at the Hamid Karzai International Airport. The United States is among the last to exit Kabul. Over this week, you've had the United Kingdom, France and Germany withdraw troops and citizens from Afghanistan. The Taliban have time and again reminded foreign troops of the 31st August deadline, insisting the 31st August deadline is non-negotiable. Now, with this deadline approaching, fresh reports indicate that Taliban's supreme leader, the man you see on your television screen, Haibatullah Akhundzada, he has reached Kandahar. Reports say that Akhundzada could take charge of Taliban 2.0 in the next 24 to 48 hours. There are some Afghans who've succeeded in fleeing for their lives out of Taliban-controlled Afghanistan. The big question remains, will Afghanistan and how will Afghanistan cope once it's in the hands and there is a formation of the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan? Now we're getting reports of chaos and mayhem near the Hamid Karzai International Airport in Kabul. So there was a barrage of rocket fire that was reported this morning in the Afghan capital, where US troops are actually racing against time to complete their withdrawal from Afghanistan. India Today is the only news channel, the only Indian news channel to bring you exclusive ground reports from Kabul.
Car on fire. Residential buildings damaged. Absolute chaos and panic. Kabul residents woke up to sounds of rockets flying over the Afghan capital on Monday. As per local media reports, multiple rockets were fired from a vehicle in Khabar Khane Lab area towards the Kabul airport. The incoming rockets were, however, intercepted by the US anti-missile defense system installed at the airport. Witnesses say at least one of the rockets struck Salim Karwa neighborhood near Kabul's international airport. US officials revealed as many as up to 5 rockets were repelled. India Today is the only channel tracking the rocket attacks. The impact site was strewn with splinters and debris of rocket.
ساعت تقریبا 6 بجه بود که بسیار در خواب بودیم، یک صدای مهیب شنیدیم و ما رفتیم به منزل پایین که مخفی شویم. فکر کردیم که این حادثه مترقبه چیه از این تیاره امریکایی هم بود. آخر دیدیم که یک موتر
همینجا خانه ما بود. ساعت طرفای 6 بجه بود که یک چند خواب بودیم که یک چند صدای وحشتناک به گوش ما رسید. نفهمیدیم که صدای چی بود. وقتی که صدا خلاص شد دیدیم که موتر در گرفت ما.
White House maintained that multiple rocket strikes will not impact ongoing evacuation operations. The foiled attacks come a day after US launched a drone strike on an explosive-laden ISIS-K vehicle headed towards the Hamid Karzai International Airport for a possible suicide strike. Just hours after Biden declared that the previous retaliatory strike in Nangarhar won't be the last. In the midst of Afghanistan crisis, a new photo of the elusive supreme leader of the Taliban, Mullah Haibatullah Akhundzada, has emerged. He is said to be in Kabul, but has not been heard or seen in the last 2 years. Kabul is in utter chaos as US rushes to evacuate its remaining citizens before the August 31st deadline. But it is a nightmare for millions of Afghans who face return of brutal Taliban rule and persistent threats from ISIS-K terrorists. With Ahmad Naveed Kawaish in Kabul, Bureau Report, India Today.
And the United States has carried out a second retaliatory strike in Kabul on Sunday, targeting a vehicle-borne improvised explosive device headed towards the Hamid Karzai International Airport. Now, this strike comes hours after US President Joe Biden declared that the drone strike in Nangarhar, which was carried out earlier, will not be the last against terrorists of the Islamic State Khorasan province.
US strikes back again with a preemptive airstrike against a group of would-be suicide bombers near Kabul airport. US Central Command spokesperson Bill Urban has confirmed the airstrike. He said the US conducted a self-defense unmanned over-the-horizon airstrike on a vehicle in Kabul. The main purpose of the airstrike was to eliminate an imminent ISIS-K threat to Hamid Karzai International Airport. He added that the military is confident that the strike successfully hit the target. The Central Command said that explosions from the vehicles indicated the presence of a substantial amount of explosive material. US says it is still assessing the possibilities of civilian casualties. The airstrike comes hours after US President Joe Biden's warning. The US President, like in the past, had warned of more terror strikes at Kabul airport and vowed to hunt the perpetrators down.
To those who carried out this attack, as well as anyone who wishes America harm, know this: we will not forgive. We will not forget. We will hunt you down and make you pay.
This is the second airstrike conducted by the US military within 3 days inside Afghanistan. Earlier, US carried out drone strikes in the Nangarhar province of Afghanistan after 2 suspected suicide attackers struck in quick succession at the Kabul airport on Thursday. 13 US Marines and at least 170 Afghans awaiting evacuation were killed in the attacks. Both US and Taliban were quick to blame ISIS-K for the strikes. After the Nangarhar strikes, the US claimed that the mastermind of the Kabul airport attacks and a key member of Islamic State Khorasan were killed in the Nangarhar precision strikes. The Taliban too claimed that once the US fully exits the war-ravaged country, their fighters will go after ISIS-K.
हमारे तहकीकात जारी है। हम अभी तक नहीं कर सकते हैं कि मालूमात देता हूँ। इंशाल्लाह बाद में इसका मालूमात अच्छी तौर पर मालूम होगी और एक शक है कि इस काम का दाइश का हाथ है। दाइश अपनी ज़राए के वसीले में इस हमले का मसूलियत भी देता पहुंचोगे।
As the US winds down its Afghan operation, it may use its ability for long-distance strikes to protect itself from terror emanating from Afghanistan. Bureau Report, India Today.
Joining me now on the broadcast, India Today's Foreign Affairs editor Geeta Mohan, our defense editor Abhishek Bhalla, and for perspective on development, someone who watches this area very closely, Ambassador Vishnu Prakash. But Geeta, to you first. Are Western countries, especially European countries, and then America, confident that the people they want to evacuate, this process will be complete by the 31st August deadline? And are we to understand, is this a midnight deadline or a sundown deadline?
Well, what we're given to understand is, in all probability, a sundown deadline, because I do not see evacuations, or for that matter, US military forces staying on beyond that time, Gaurav. But having said that, In terms of evacuations, the Taliban is very clear. They will allow and continue to allow evacuations beyond the 31st August deadline. The August 31st deadline is for troop withdrawal per se. In terms of the foreign forces being concerned and worried about evacuations, well, they are certainly concerned and worried about evacuation. Nothing is clear. There is a serious security threat in and around Kabul airport. Abbey Gate has now been handed over to the Taliban. So the withdrawal has begun even at Karzai airport. That's very significant because there are still a lot of foreign nationals who are still in Afghanistan. A joint statement of the United States of America and 100 other countries, over 100 other countries, have come out and said that the Taliban have assured them security for evacuation. But we'll have to again wait and see because the situation is volatile.
Stay with me. Absolutely. Absolutely. And look at the numbers, Abhishek. The numbers are huge even now. So there are supposed to be about 300 Americans that still need to be evacuated. There are about 300 to 400 staffers who need to be evacuated and 4,000 soldiers who still need to be evacuated. And this would mean for several hours, several flights would need to fly non-stop outside, from the Kabul Hamid Karzai International Airport. If 4,000 soldiers need to be withdrawn in under 24 hours.
And this is the reason, Gaurav, that the US is carrying out these preemptive strikes because they have information, they have very clear intelligence of ISIS KP trying to make more such attempts to disrupt these operations. And there are reports that the US has been using its Hellfire missiles from their Reaper drones. And they could be using them once again unless they are sure that no more of such attempts will be used by ISIS KP that is very much active in this area. According to UN reports recently, there were close to 2,200 to 2,500 fighters of ISIS KP, mainly from Afghanistan and Pakistan. But it also said that there are their sympathizers who are present in other parts of the country as well.
Okay.
So it seems that they have a network of their fighters across the country, and that's what the US forces are guarding against as of now.
Stay with me, Geeta and Abhishek. Ambassador Vishnu Prakash, the Taliban seems to have told the Americans that it would be advisable for them to stick to the deadline of 31st August, given what has been happening. Is this a veiled or a not-so-veiled threat to the Americans from the Taliban, sir?
Good evening, Gaurav. What threat are we talking of? When has Taliban posed a threat to the US? They are friends. The UN Security Council doesn't even mention Taliban. And Bill Burns comes and shares the data, biometric data of all the Afghans with the Taliban. So, no, I think the equations have changed. And it is subject to confirmation. But I believe that there is some arrangement being worked out with Pakistan that the remnants, the people who will stay behind, will be taken across the border land route to Pakistan, and from there they'll be evacuated. Gaurav.
Would that be, in your view, and since you've served in Pakistan and since you know this region well, would that be safe, whether it's civilians or military personnel, taking the land route? I mean, then you're crossing a very dangerous area where the Pakistanis are also not completely in control, sir.
That is true. Given the numbers that are there, 4,000 odd American soldiers and maybe 700 more civilians,
yes,
pulling them out in the next 24 hours will be difficult but not impossible. So the chances are that they will be able to airlift a large chunk, if not all, by tomorrow. But what I'm just adding is that friendly Pakistan has already, there is something I believe in the works that if there are other difficulties, the land route could be taken.
Fair enough, and that's very interesting because Pakistan speaks in multiple voices. You have Pakistan's National Security Advisor who virtually seems to be threatening or warning of another 9/11 in this region in case America doesn't take certain steps. But in midst of all of this, and Geeta and Abhishek and Ambassador Prakash stay with me, there's something which is extremely interesting. After the Taliban takeover of Afghanistan, there were apprehensions about what happens to India's interests in Afghanistan. India's $3 billion worth of investment is for the betterment of people of Afghanistan. But what happens henceforth? A senior member of the Taliban leadership, Sher Mohammad Abbas Stanikzai, he said that Taliban want to maintain trade, economic and political relations with India. Now, Stanikzai, who incidentally was trained at the Indian Military Academy, Dehradun, describes India as an important country in the region. The Taliban leader also said that air trade route between India and Afghanistan also needs to be kept open. He was referring to the air corridor between India and Afghanistan that was established to boost trade between the two countries in view of Pakistan's denial of permitting the land transit route. India has been a key stakeholder in rebuilding Afghanistan. India has invested $3 billion and has successfully carried out 500 projects across Afghanistan. Now, the Ministry of External Affairs is adopting a wait and watch approach when it comes to India's ties with Afghanistan. Let's listen in to the government spokesperson on whether India would recognize Taliban.
The situation on the ground is uncertain, as all of you know. The primary concern or prime concern currently is the security and safety of the people. Okay. Currently, there is a lack of clarity or no clarity about any entity forming a government in Kabul. So I think we are jumping the gun here regarding recognition. We of course continue to monitor the situation very carefully. This is an evolving situation, and I think for the moment that's all I have to say about this element.
Geeta, the government says we'll adopt a wait and watch policy, but that is India's official stance. What's happening behind the scenes?
Well, for one, we do know that there has been engagement between the two sides at a very lower level, at a higher level. It is true, Gaurav, that India has been very careful because India's stand is very clear. In all the statements that they've made it very clear that freedom, women's rights, protection of minorities, these are primary issues and primary concerns of India and for India, and therefore they'd like to wait and see what kind of government comes into place in Kabul and what their policies are really going to be. It would, for India to act in this certainly does not bode well because we are a very close neighbor, and it seems like anything that they do, especially with the impact and influence of Pakistan and China, anything that Afghanistan does will have huge implications for India, and therefore this wait and watch policy, but doesn't mean they're not engaging. There is engagement, but not at the highest level, because that is something that will take time, and India will...
Give me a moment, let me bring in Ambassador Vishnu Prakash on this. Ambassador Vishnu Prakash, your take on Sher Abbas Stanikzai saying Afghanistan or the Taliban regime would want political, diplomatic, economic and trade relations with India?
Well, Gaurav, it is something that is encouraging. Certainly it is encouraging. However, there are lots of imponderables. One, what you and we are discussing is what we know. You very rightly said that a lot goes on behind. And I will not be surprised if there are informal confidential contacts, which is a normal process of statecraft. That is one. Secondly, we all know that Taliban is not monolithic.
Yes.
There are different groupings. Now, our concern would be, for example, we have various concerns, but our concerns will be the Haqqani group. We cannot forget that Haqqani group is an integral part of the Taliban and rather playing an active role. And Haqqani group was instrumental at ISI's behest to attack the Indian embassy in 2008. Yes. And in Kandahar and one more place where we closed down the consulates.
Mazar-e-Sharif, you're absolutely right, sir.
Yeah, the Taliban and Punjabi-speaking, obviously people who were Pakistanis, had ransacked our consulates. Now, there is a certain track record. There is also a tug of war going on between the various factions of the Taliban. So, and then there is always Pakistan, which is willing to play, which always will play a role, which will not be in India's interest. So that we are not responding does not mean that we are not in contact. I think we will very carefully watch. It's in our interest also, as we have discussed on your channel, to have some kind of engagement with the Taliban. It will be in India's interest, in the interest of the people of Afghanistan, and generally for peace and stability. So we will have to watch. One cannot put a time frame, but I'm sure contacts are being maintained by both sides.
Contacts are being maintained on both sides. Now, what's been happening right now? And Abhishek and our team, we're tracking developments very closely. What's transpired in the past 24 hours? Let me get our viewers up to speed with the latest. On the 29th of August at 6 p.m., a U.S. drone strike, according to the United States, hit a car about 2 kilometers from the airport, just 2 kilometers from the Hamid Karzai International Airport. The target was, according to the United States, Islamic State, Khorasan province, suicide bombers en route the Hamid Karzai International Airport. Then the 30th of August, 6 in the morning, and this is IST, Indian Standard Time. 5 rockets fired, all destroyed by the airport's missile defense shield. Now, no reports of fatalities or damage to American equipment or systems, but great anxiety for locals. And this indicates, Abhishek, that the Islamic State has the ability to strike despite the US strike at Nangarhar and targeting suicide bombers, which several people in Afghanistan seem to claim killed little children and civilians in a house.
That's right, Gaurav. They had the capability, and that's why they could strike repeatedly. And the reason for this is because they do have supporters, and this is irrespective, despite the fact that there was a crackdown in 2019, and lots of ISIS-KP fighters surrendered to Afghan forces. This also included some Indians who were there. Many of them were killed in operations by Afghan forces. But despite that, there has been some kind of a resurgence. And that is the reason why, India is also keeping a very close watch on what is happening. Just today, Defense Minister has said that India is watching developments very closely, and that the new situation that has emerged in Afghanistan is definitely posing different challenges. And he also mentioned that India will ensure that terror is not spilled over into India, specifically in Jammu and Kashmir, because of the situation there. He said India will not allow any foreign country to exploit the situation, giving a clear hint at Pakistan, even though he did not name any country. But he was very clear. A few days back, CDS General Bipin Rawat had also said a similar thing.
And India is watching developments very closely. India Today's Akshita Nandgopal spoke exclusively to Taliban spokesperson Zabiullah Mujahid on the road ahead, especially when it comes to the issue of ties with India. Let's listen in.
Mr. Mujahid, what exactly is going to be the diplomatic relations of the Islamic Emirate, of the Taliban, with neighboring countries, particularly with countries that have supported the previous government, like us, like the Indian government? Now, after the establishment, is there any desire to really ensure that, again, you restitch ties and relations with some of these countries, like India, again, who provide facilities? And is there also going to be a question of an ambassador from the Islamic Emirate being introduced to other countries? Is that going to happen?
شما می‌دانید که موضوعات دیپلماتیک و وجود سفیرها در کشورها یه کار متقابل است، از یک طرف نمیشه. ما خواهان ازی هستیم که تمام کشورها با ما روابط حسنه داشته باشه، به شمول هندوستان که کشور مهم منطقه است و در تاریخ با افغانستان روابط داشته و همچنان همکاری های داشته. ما می‌خواهیم که همکاری های سالمشان دوام بکنه، در راسته دیپلماتیک با هم روابط حسنه داشته باشیم. همچنان اگر نیاز میشه سفیرهای ما هم در تمام کشورها خواهد بود و سفرهای کشورهای دیگر هم در افغانستان فعلا هم هستند. فضای اطمینانی برشان مساعد شده و ما ترجیح میدیم که روابط خوب با تمام کشورها داشته باشیم.
So, Mr. Mujahid, you did touch upon how India's had good ties previously with Afghanistan. There is a worry here, however, and most of the reports seem to be suggesting this, that the Tehreek-e-Taliban was in collusion with Masood Azhar, and as Azhar has really asked some Taliban fighters from Afghanistan to be sent across to spread terror in Kashmir. If this really is true, and again I'm quoting reports here, how much can the relationship of India and Afghanistan be damaged?
ما مطمئنا گفته میتونیم که امارات اسلامی افغانستان اجازه نمیده که از خاک ما علیه کدام کشور دیگر خطری ایجاد شود. با می پالیسی و با می اساس ما اطمینان میتیم هم به کشور هند هم به کشورهای دیگر که از طرف ما برشان کدام تهدید وجود نخواهد داشت. در این مورد کدام چیزی که پخش شده یا آوازها و افواهات حقیقت نداره ما رد میکنیم.
Mr. Mujahid, focusing on what's happening in Afghanistan and really the fight for Panjshir, we know that talks have been held by a delegation of the Islamic Emirate with the Northern Alliance that's led by Ahmad Massoud. Has there been any sort of breakthrough, any agreements that have been reached? Can you take us through the conversation that's happened so far?
باور ما این است که معلوماتی که اخیراً داریم گفتگوها هنوز هم هست. هر دو طرف تیمایشان به طرف خود برگشتن تا نظر نهایی رو با هم برسانند. یکی بعداً چی میشه فعلا گفتن نمیتونم، ولی غالباً شاید موضوع به جنگ نگرایه و به راه تفاهم مسئله حل شود.
Ambassador Vishnu Prakash, you heard Zabiullah Mujahid when he says that Afghan territory will not be used for terror against any country, and he says they want good ties with India the way India had good ties with Afghanistan earlier. Now, can this be taken at face value given what happened to IC-814? It landed in Kandahar and you know that Maulana of terror, Masood Azhar, went to Pakistan, formed Jaish-e-Mohammed. Jaish-e-Mohammed's Masood Azhar went to Kandahar, sought weapons and fighters for Kashmir. So is there a major disconnect between what the Taliban says and what may actually be happening on ground ultimately?
Gaurav, nothing is static in life. You know, one cannot forget history or ignore history. You do that at your own peril. Those who ignore history suffer. But those who are weighed down by history also suffer. You cannot allow history to be a millstone around your neck. Now, the big question is whether the new Taliban is any different. There are indications which seem to be pointing towards that. There are counter indications. So we cannot really rule in or rule out anything. If there are many if Taliban has learned its lessons during 20 years in wilderness, that they have understood that just doing Pakistan's bidding is not going to take them anywhere far, that they have understood that the 21st century is very different from the 20th century, that there is social media today which will expose them, that if they want to be administering Afghanistan for a long term, they have to change their ways. There are lots of ifs and buts.
Yes.
But point really is that in case there is a change in their attitude, nobody is expecting Afghanistan to be a democracy. Nobody is expecting Taliban they will not change their ideology, in other words. They may change their behavior.
Okay.
So they will impose Sharia, but the rough edges of there should not be cruelty in Sharia. So, and also if we say that we will stick to our red lines which were there at one point of time, I think that will not work. So both sides will have to move forward, but we'll have to wait and watch. We'll have to weigh things carefully. And last point, Gaurav, it will take time for the dust to settle because there will be internal power struggles. Things will pendulum can swing one way or the other. But once the dust settles, that is when we will be taking a final call.
Very important point you make there about the dust settling and internal power struggle within the Taliban. And we'll talk about this in greater detail in the days ahead. There is those from Doha, and of course there are also those who come from the Haqqani network sponsored by Pakistan.